It is our favorite day of the week. Is that what is that?
You were live? I tried to get it before.
No.
My bad.
No. What is that?
We're here for it.
That wasn't a soda can.
Oh,
no, that
no,
was
it
a
wasn't.
soda. No,
it's Fajita Friday. If you're not boozing 5:30, you have to.
You are already boozing. Look at you.
Let's go. It's 5:30.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you, buddy. It's great. Man. That's how we're starting off our Fajita Friday here on the NBA DFS Preview Show, WinDailySports.com. My name is Jon Jansen, joined by my guy Ghost, breaking down the DFS slate right now. And we got a 9-game slate. We got a nice little juicy slate. I read the Ghost Gems. I saw you talking about it. You were you're liking the slate a little bit, aren't you?
Yeah, it's kind of nice. And then on top of that, we got some early injury news. So that was always fun when there's a couple of guys that I write up. Yeah. You know, it's always nice writing up a couple of guys that end up getting ruled out at like 1 p.m. But
fantastic.
That's NBA DFS, especially on a Fajita Friday. You love to see it.
Oh, you love a Fajita Friday. It's always a good one. All right, so let's get into this slate. It is a 9-game slate, and of course, it's a day that ends in Y, and, it's Friday, so that's great. But that also means we're playing Steph Curry today, right?
Absolutely.
I gotta go directly there.
Look, like, if you're not playing this game on the main slate, play the night slate and then play this game because you're obligated to play it because it's one of maybe 2 games or 3 games on the night slate. So if you're not playing it on the main, at least make a lineup for the night slate because this is the game to play. So you got 2 teams, 1 and 2 in pace. Both teams are bottom 5 in defensive rating. You have Russell Westbrook that's doing, 2017, 2018, 2019 Russell Westbrook things where he's just averaging a triple-double every single night now. Bradley Beal should be good to go in this one. You have Steph going up against a team that doesn't know how to play defense. Draymond's going to be out there facilitating. Kelly Oubre Jr. revenge game on top of that. I never played Kelly Oubre in DFS.
Did you just say Kelly Oubre Jr. revenge game? That's what I like. Yeah, that's the kind of crap.
That's the kind of stuff we're here for.
Yeah, I'm here for that.
I'm trying to find sauce to really, really like throw onto this game, right? But like, this is the game that I am 100% playing. There's no doubt in my mind that I'm not getting at least some exposure to Washington and Golden State tonight. It's just no defense, number 1 and 2 in pace. There's going to be a million possessions in this one. They're by far projected number 1 and number 2 for possessions tonight on this slate in our proprietary projections model. This is the game for me.
Yeah, this has to be the game. Russell Westbrook, Steph Curry. I know usually every time we come on, that is a 100% guarantee to take. But especially in this game where it's expected to be high paced, where, Washington's a team that we always like to attack to begin with, and a scorer like Steph Curry, that likely means we're going to play this game. Now, I do have a question immediately from Dave Jones. What do you guys suggest for guards, fours, and centers on Super Draft? That's obviously a general question. So the guards, it seems like we're going with no matter what, Westbrook, Curry.
Yeah, so the strategy that you have to really take on Super Draft is that I typically like to build bottom up if I end up playing on that site. So what you like to do is that, you take a look at the 1x guys, probably max 1.2, and then you end up seeing who's ruled out and then who are the benefactors of that. It's a very similar strategy that you have on DraftKings and FanDuel, but on Super Draft, it really matters because a lot of times guys like, for example, when Giannis Antetokounmpo gets ruled out, you have Bobby Portis that, he's not going to be at 1.2x. He's likely going to be in the 1.5 to 2x range, right? So that's a guy that, you don't really have to worry about his salary. You just got to lock him in because that's just the nature of what Super Draft is. So typically when I end up starting my builds on Super Draft, I pretty much old school pen and paper. I make a list of who's ruled out there. And I say, okay, who are the 1 to 2, maybe 3 benefactors that are there? And then just really sort them out by, 1.5, 2x. So if we're taking that strategy here without going like really too deep into it, Giannis is out and so is Jrue Holiday. I haven't checked their exact multipliers tonight, but Dante DiVincenzo, Bobby Portis, these are 2 guys that I would be strongly looking at over on Super Draft tonight. And then even in Indiana, we're going to talk about that game in a little bit, but before I really dive into it, it's just if Malcolm Brogdon and Sabonis are out, you could go right back to guys like Goga, guys like Jeremy Lamb, guys like TJ McConnell. They're all going to have strong multipliers on Super Draft, right? So that's the best thing about that site is that it makes your lineup different. So the strategy that I always take there is really find out which studs are out, write down 1, 2, max 3 guys that are really benefiting from that, and then you end up building your lineup from there.
Yeah, and we'll go to the Indiana-Orlando game, but I want to start with Milwaukee because you just mentioned Drew Holiday and also Giannis are both out. So we know Giannis has been out for a little bit, so we know we would go right to Drew Holiday, all that, but now Drew Holiday's out, so now it's a little bit different. And now, am I seeing that right? Am I seeing that right? Is that Chris Middleton out? That means we're attacking a lot of low end plays here, or is this a game that maybe doesn't warrant that? But I think a game against Charlotte should be good enough to maybe attack some low end plays, right?
Yeah, you have to. I mean, somebody's got to score, right? So even if, for example, on a very, I can't even say terrible night, it's just a record-setting low night. If a team puts up 80 points, someone's scoring. Someone's got to score, no matter how few points that they put up. Somebody's scoring out there. So you have to get exposure to this lineup right now. And thank you, Derek, for ending up giving us that information. Obviously, when we're live, it's nice to have you guys get involved in chat and telling us the news. So Chris Middleton out, DiVincenzo out, Giannis out, Drew Holiday out.
Whoa. Everybody's out.
Boy. Okay, so where do we start here? So if we're going to the front court, it's Bobby Portis again. Lather, rinse, repeat. Same thing as yesterday. Same thing as the day before that. Same thing as the game before that. Pretty much until Giannis was back into the lineup. You could go back 3, 4, 5, 6 games. I don't really know how many he's missed, but you guys get the point. You got to play Bobby Portis in this spot. Outside of that, if you're looking to get a little bit different because he's going to be probably like 99% owned on this slate, you could look to the other role players, guys like Pat Connaughton. Jeff Teague is still out there in Milwaukee, right? So they tried to bolster their rotation when he got bought out, when he got traded there. So Jeff Teague is in a decent spot now. Pat Connaughton, Bobby Portis, and you know what? We may not be able to get Giannis Antetokounmpo in our lineups, but we could go to Thanasis Antetokounmpo in a spot like this too, right? So it's not exactly the Antetokounmpo brother that we would imagine playing on a slate like this, but he's been producing really well. You know what? So in a spot like this where he's a stone cold minimum price, I'll definitely have some interest there. But you guys know the drill. Anytime someone's priced under $5,000, I go straight to our projection model at windailysports.com and end up checking that out. Click the value button on there. It sorts high to low, and you'll be able to see who we have projected as the top value plays on the slate.
So how much does that change now, the slate? Because, I mean, we're getting more than what we thought from Milwaukee out. We already had Giannis and Holiday out, but now it's more. Now it's Middleton, DiVincenzo. So how much does that change things? Because we were about to talk about Indiana, Orlando, but does that now doesn't take away those plays? There are still some plays that we will obviously get through, but how much of it is a priority now to mainly attack this slate, or at least these games, so you can get guys like Steph Curry and Russell Westbrook in?
You need at least 2 Milwaukee guys, and I'm not opposed to playing 4 of them. So
wow, okay.
This is a spot where a lot of them are going to be a stone cold minimum because, yes, Giannis has been out for a little bit, but because of the fact that Chris Middleton's there, Drew Holiday's there, DiVincenzo's there, Brook Lopez is there, like they're all the reserve players that are now going to find themselves in the starting lineup. Guys like I don't even know if Sam Merrill's still there, but this is just somebody that I remember playing last time. There was Sam Merrill, there was Thanasis. There are a couple guys there that, you know what, they're going to be a stone cold minimum. So you need at least 2 of them, and I wouldn't be opposed to playing 4 just because at $3,000, if you're telling me that's what I need to get Westbrook, Curry, maybe even Draymond or another stud like Karl Anthony Towns or Nikola Jokic, I'm 100% taking that route tonight now.
So, yeah, now we're taking a lot of those, and we're getting a lot of Clippers also news as well, PG-13 and stuff being out. But is there anything with this game? I know John Wall would have been nice because I know you like ball handlers against Clippers, but he's out, obviously. So where are we going with this game? Is there anything now that we know kind of a few guys are going to be out in this one?
The only one that I really have interest in, well, I'll give an honorable mention to Sterling Brown in a second, but Kevin Porter Jr. is in a great spot now. I love playing him when John Wall is out. The price is high enough where, you know what, if he was in that $6,000, maybe even $5,000 to $6,000 range, he'd be one of the highest owned players on this slate tonight, right? John Wall's out, you play Kevin Porter Jr. It's just automatic at that point. It's not as automatic to the point where, you know, if PG is out, you play Kawhi in a better matchup. I'm not playing Kawhi tonight when the spread's going to end up going to 15 points in this one by the time the line moves a little bit. So, but it's just in a competitive game, Paul George is out, you play Kawhi. When Russell Westbrook is out, you play Bradley Beal and vice versa. It's just one of those spots, right? So, look, it's to a lesser extent, but I really do like playing Kevin Porter Jr. when John Wall is out. He's going to be the primary ball handler, and I do like primary ball handlers versus LA. It's
Yes, you
just no
do.
thing, especially with Patrick Beverley out now. It's that same juicy matchup that we've been attacking throughout the entire season against Reggie Jackson, against Terrence Mann, against Luke Kennard, anyone that he matches up on. And the fact that Paul George is out, this game might end up being a little bit closer than we think, right? Or at least close long enough that Kevin Porter Jr. can be one of the best plays on the board here. So I can't confirm whether he's going to be in my main lineup or not, but he's somebody that does take a little bit of a jump. And I did write him up today already, so I liked him as is, but now that Paul George is out, changes the complexion of things a little bit. That rather than people, the larger majority of the field is going to go to the Clippers side. I actually have a bit more interest in the Houston side. Same thing with Sterling Brown. They pretty much only have two ball handlers on this team now with Kevin Porter Jr. and Sterling Brown, given that John Wall is out. So those two guys end up taking a huge bump tonight.
Yeah, they do. WinDailySports.com, WinDailySports.com/chat. And we're seeing now, we thought we had it all done. We thought we had the lineups, get the injury reports in. And of course, we get things like PG3, all of that going to be out. So make sure you're in the Discord chat as things continue to come in. But now let's go into that Indiana-Orlando game. You mentioned TJ McConnell. He's a nice 5,600 play. But what else in this game ends up kind of gravitating towards it? There are a few players out. Now, Sabonis, last time I saw, the last update is Sabonis, Brogdon, both game time decisions. So they're not officially ruled out yet. They're game time decisions. But, we know how this goes. They're likely, or we can at least assume they might be ruled out. So if they are, where are we going to go with this one?
Yeah, and that's the scenario that I'm going to play in this, because I want nothing to do with this game if even one of those guys are ruled in. For me, it's got to be both of them are out. Then I'll get exposure to this Indiana rotation. And even at that, with the amount of Milwaukee guys that are out tonight, I don't even know if I feel the need to go to Indiana outside of TJ McConnell, and maybe even Goga. Goga's still there at 3,800. And look, even if Sabonis plays in this one, they don't need him to play a full 36 minutes to beat Orlando. And if they do, they have serious problems. They know they're a better roster than that. So Miles Turner remains out for this team, and Goga's been absolutely smashing in the past couple games, right? So this is a spot where, over on FanDuel at 4,900, it does end up getting a little bit expensive just because he was a stone cold minimum there. And look, I don't know exactly how the pricing algorithms work. I wish I did, but from what I gather, it's based on ownership a lot of the times. The more people that end up playing somebody, the more his price is going to increase, and vice versa, where if no one's playing somebody, they're going to bring their price down a little bit, right? So everybody was playing Goga in the past 3 Indiana games, and now his price skyrocketed on FanDuel from 3,500 to 4,900. So over there, I'm probably likely paying up at center, especially it's a site where you only have to play one of them, and you have Towns, you have Joker, you have Embiid, and you have Vooch all at the type of at the top of the pricing grid there. So pick your poison with one of those 4 guys. I have a very hard time getting away from them. But over on DraftKings, 3,800 for Goga, whether Sabonis is in or not, I definitely have some interest there. So him and TJ McConnell are going to be the main 2 pieces that I would like to fit in my lineup should Brogdon and Sabonis be out. I'll let other people play Karis LeVert. I don't really feel the need to play him in a spot like this because I don't really want anything to do with this mid-range tonight. I'm going to use that Milwaukee value. I'm going to use the Indiana value, and I want Westbrook, I want Curry, I want Towns, I want Joker, I want Embiid. I want the big guns. I want guys that could really break a slate and end up winning us some tournaments, right? So if Karis LeVert goes for 40, that's great. He'll get the little flame emoji beside his name, but then you need multiple Karis LeVerts to end up doing that, and that's not a game that I want to play. I'd rather say, hey, I'm going to sit back. It's Friday night, and I'm going to watch Russell Westbrook get another triple-double because it's a day ending in Y, right? So I want guys with high ceilings.
Is that the easy one? Like, is it just as simple as go to Westbrook and click him in? Where are we going? Basically, question is, where are we going at the top? Because we've mentioned Curry, we mentioned Westbrook. Obviously, we can't keep, put all these guys in like Embiid, Towns. So where are you going for the most part at the top? What are some of those guys that you think have the potential to break the slate today?
So this is a slate where, running 3 max, where you're entering 3 lineups is definitely not a bad idea, right? Because there's so much star power where, a lot of people are going to play the Thanasis Antetokounmpos. They're going to play the Sam Merrills, the Jeff Teagues. And that's okay. You end up eating chalk there. And when I say chalk, it's guys that are really high owned, right? So I'm okay eating that kind of chalk in tournaments tonight just because of how thin these rotations are. But at the top of the pricing grid, that's where we can really get different, right? So you end up having one lineup. If you're playing Russ or you're playing Bradley Beal, you need to play Curry, because it's just when we talk about game theory and we end up having, where we look at our lineups, and to put it in simple English, our lineups have to make sense. One thing has to happen for another to happen, right? So for Russell Westbrook or Bradley Beal to go bonkers, it's because Steph Curry is going out there and dropping 40 plus, right? So this is a spot where if I'm playing Russell Westbrook or Bradley Beal, I'm 100% playing Steph Curry along with them. But on the flip side, I'm definitely not opposed to running a double center lineup where you end up having Towns and Joker, or Towns and Embiid, or Joker and Embiid. Look, these are, outside of Towns because of injuries and COVID and whatnot. This is a spot where, he's playing at a really high level right now. So is he in the MVP conversation like Joker and Embiid are? No, but he's playing at that level for Minnesota. And he's going out there and balling out against Boston. They traded away Daniel Tice. Tristan Thompson cannot defend this season. I don't know what's up with him. So this is a spot where, similarly to how we played Embiid, even on 30-ish minutes, a bit of a minutes limit for Embiid last time, he went out there and dropped 35 and 10 in 30 minutes. Towns can do the exact same thing, except he's going to go out there and play 36 to 38 minutes, because if Minnesota wants to win a game, they got to play Towns for 38. So this is a spot where Karl-Anthony Towns is awfully enticing there. Joker's just having an MVP season. San Antonio absolutely blows on the glass. So this is a spot where Joker's he has the potential to triple-double. And then we're talking about Joel Embiid against New Orleans. Like, look, I love Zion's game. Absolutely love it. But Steven Adams isn't going to be able to contain him. Zion's not going to be able to contain Joel Embiid. I don't really think there is a center that can go out there and match Joel Embiid 1-for-1, right? So this is a spot where they're going to want to attack Zion. They're going to want to get him into foul trouble, and they're really going to want to get him out of the game that way, right? So Joel in this spot at 10.1, I would pay $11,000 for Joel Embiid on pretty much any slate, let alone at 10.1. It's really enticing to end up going to him.
So that's where we're going. Here's the lineup for you now. Jimmy Wagner has the lineup up. It's not Seth Curry he's playing. It's Steph Curry. So with that switch in there, how do you think this lineup looks?
It looks good. I like Westbrook. You got Curry in there with him. Portis and T, you have your Milwaukee exposure. I'm not sure if I feel the need to play a guy like Jalen McDaniels tonight. Just with the amount of value that's opening up in Milwaukee, I would honestly just load up there. You could end up getting another $3,000 Milwaukee guy, whether it's Thanasis, whether it's Sam Merrill, whether it's any one of these guys, Pat Connaughton. I'm sure the mall is going to update any minute now because we're still over an hour to lock. It's going to be at 6 p.m. most likely the next update. So it'll be up there then, and then just end up, loading up on Milwaukee. I'm okay with playing 4 Milwaukee guys tonight. I'm probably going to end up trying to limit myself to 3, but it's going to be tough not to play 4 of them, especially if all of them are $3,000.
Yeah, and we have a few other questions here for you, at least one more here. Do you suggest playing Vucevic for the Chicago Bulls in Super Draft at 1.25 time?
I love playing Vuce on any given night. This is a spot where, it's going to be a more competitive game than it was yesterday against Toronto, that's for sure. So the fact that it's a back-to-back, it doesn't really worry me, because yesterday I watched a bit of the game. They were pretty much coasting out there because they knew that, all they had to do was turn up the dial a little bit for 5 minutes, and they could blow Toronto out of the water, because Toronto was down to an 8-man rotation, right? So this is a spot where Vuce should be good to go. Him and Levine, I'm not really worried about tired legs there in Chicago. And you know what? It's not exactly the easiest matchup against Clint Capella, but what I do like against matchups like this, where a lot of people end up shying away from it because they're like, oh my God, Clint Capella is a good defender. Yes, and you know what? He's not the best defender. He's not the worst either. But this is a spot where, because Atlanta needs Clint Capella on the floor, John Collins is out, Gallinari isn't healthy again. It's just normal for Daniel Gallinari this season. I don't know what it is. He's just plagued with the injury bug, unfortunately. But this is a spot where Atlanta needs to have Clint Capella on the floor. And to counter that, Chicago needs Vooch on the floor. So more minutes, more money. That's just the way it is in NBA DFS. So it really depends on other players' multipliers. But at 1.25, Vooch is a great option for sure.
Yeah, Vucevic seems like one and always is on a day ending in Y, especially here on a Fajita Friday. WinDailySports.com. You can check out Ghost's Gems. So there are plays up there. And as always, the cheat sheet, projection models, those can help you if you're really trying to decide between a couple of players or a pair of players. That one can help you decide on a player or be the tiebreaker in what could be a decision that you need to make for your lineup. And of course, Ghost is going to be, and everybody is going to be in the Discord chat. WinDailySports.com/chat is where you can check that out. Sign up for the premium membership. Of course, use the code GOT5 for $5 for the first week of your Win Daily Sports premium membership. So we've gone through some of those. Any other, I guess, low-end plays? Because it seems like they're mostly all coming from Milwaukee. The end of this slate, I think, is what you're going for. You're going for, the Currys, Russell Westbrook. You're going for Joel Embiid, and you're getting maybe your cheaper plays from Milwaukee. Is there any place else that you're attacking for those type of plays?
The one spot that I can recommend if you're really trying to get different, and I mean,
Right.
this is a large field tournament, only 40, 50, 60,000 people. Personally, I don't play those contests because they're not profitable long term, but it's always fun, especially on the weekend. You end up throwing I think tonight is $20 for the main tournament.
Hey, why not?
You get a chance at $100,000. That's what a lot of people tend to forget, is that we do this for fun also, right? So you're having fun tonight. You end up throwing $20 trying to win $100,000. The Minnesota Boston game is one that can really blow up. So this is a spot where, again, Boston has no interior defense anymore. Towns is playing out of his mind. And on the flip side, Minnesota ranks 27th in the NBA in defensive rating. They don't have a single good defender in their starting five, right? Like they don't have anybody that plays D in the starting five. You're talking about good matchups for Kemba Walker, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown. Like it could make a really different stack. You end up getting, I would say, two Boston guys. I would prefer Tatum and Brown. Kemba always scares me a little bit, but again, given his price, somebody that entices me a little bit on the slate like this. But I do prefer Jaylen Brown and Tatum. And then you run it back with Karl-Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards. Look, I still think LaMelo Ball should have went first overall. I bet on LaMelo Ball going first overall. I still think he's going to have.
I did not know this.
I still think that, and I think Minnesota regrets that now that they're going to end up getting Cade Cunningham. Imagine a Cade Cunningham, LaMelo Ball backcourt. But anyways, we're not going to do that. We're going to do that for the draft preview show in a couple months. But this is a spot where, Anthony Edwards has been playing really well. He's finally getting consistent minutes in the starting five. He has over a 30% usage rate. He's the number 2 guy behind Towns. D'Lo is still, recovering from injury, illness, a bunch of different things where he's going to be limited to 20 minutes. And Minnesota's pretty much thrown in the towel in the season where they don't need to rush D'Angelo Russell back. So this is a spot where they're going to want to develop Anthony Edwards. They know that he's a key part of their future there. So at only 7,700, he's somebody that really entices me. And you know what? He scored 20 points in 6 out of his past 7 games and averaging over 35 DK. If he ends up having a ceiling game, it might be right here against Boston where, because of their interior defense is so weak, a slasher like Anthony Edwards, where he's able to really get to the rim with ease, it fits his game perfectly. So it's a sneaky stack there if you want to go Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Anthony Edwards, and just hope that game goes absolutely bonkers.
And I just want to bring it up for you because we got to go in with good vibes for Fajita Friday and the weekend. DeJounte Murray, you can just gush over him. Now I'm giving you the floor. Gush over him. Great. Are we not playing him in tonight's slate now, though? Is he one? Because again, it's like you see the Milwaukee thing and you see players out and you just guys like DeJounte Murray maybe hit the cutting room floor. You're like, all right, I liked him, but now the opportunity is kind of gone. Is that maybe the case for a guy like DeJounte?
It really is. And he's in there with the Vooches, the Sabonises, the Beals. I feel like that's, I don't know, I might be forgetting somebody. I have to see a full slate probably, but that's probably my top 4 where everybody knows that if they ask me, am I playing this guy or this guy, and one of those 4 is in it, I'm automatically taking one of those 4. I always play Sabonis, Beal, Vooch, and DeJounte Murray, one of the most underrated point guards in the league, in my opinion. But this is a spot where exactly the way you put it, it's kind of like Karis LeVert. You know what? Malcolm Brogdon and Sabonis get ruled out. For example, Karis LeVert instantly becomes the number 1 scoring option. But at one point, does your lineup really make sense and end up getting a bunch of guys that are in that $7,000 to $8,000 range when you have Thanasis Antetokounmpo at minimum price? You have Jeff Teague that's close to minimum price. You have all this Milwaukee value at minimum price. For me, it's like I end up looking at my lineup and I'm like, okay, I'm playing these guys because the opportunity is going to be there. Their price is really low. They're going to exceed value. It's just you have to play them. They're in a starting 5 and they're $3,000. I don't want to end up playing guys like that to quote unquote pay up for Karis LeVert. Karis LeVert is not somebody that's going to end up breaking an NBA slate. Russell Westbrook could break a slate. Joel Embiid could break a slate. Steph Curry could break a slate. Karis LeVert's not going to go out there and drop 75 DraftKings points, where Russell Westbrook did that twice in the past week. Joel Embiid did that previously this season where he put up 80 and 82. Like, this is a spot where I want guys that can absolutely go nuclear on the slate and really take my lineup to the next level. So if I'm eating all that ownership in the Milwaukee in the Milwaukee game, unfortunately, guys like DeJounte Murray, Karis LeVert, maybe even TJ McConnell finds there. They're just
Get him out.
They're
Get him out.
They're out of the scope. They're out of the scope. Unfortunately, they get the short end of the stick there, and I want all the big guns tonight. This is definitely a stars and scrubs lineup. If you're not playing it that way, you're taking a very big risk with the amount of value that's out there in Milwaukee tonight.
I love it. That's how we're going to go into a Fajita Friday. That's how we're going to go into WrestleMania weekend, by the way. WrestleMania weekend. Let's go. Ghost, great. Another great week of shows. You did a tremendous job. You were lovely. You opened a beer before. Like, you tried to sneak one in before we even started. I love it. No, I love it. I love how we got on immediately. And it's like, have you ever seen Stone Cold Steve Austin and Booker T?
Yeah.
He's right behind him with the beer can. That was you starting the show. It was tremendous.
I love it.
Another great week of shows. We'll be back Monday. I'm not going to be there because I'm going to be enjoying WrestleMania a little bit too much this weekend. I always take the Monday after Mania off just so I can calm myself down after a nice weekend. But enjoy the weekend, Ghost. Enjoy the Masters, WrestleMania, and good luck tonight. We're going to do really well, aren't we?
Thank you, bro.
I feel it. I feel it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, that's it for the Win Daily Sports NBA Preview Show with Ghost. You can follow him at DFS_Ghost. You can follow me at JJansen34. And again, all of this can be found at windailysports.com.